Hi, this is Cindy and Destiny from Keep It Real Podcast, and we're here today with Danny Blaze. Yay! Hey. Danny is from the Black and Brave Wrestling Academy in Davenport, Iowa. He was trained by my personal favorite, Mr. Seth Rollins.
Oh, you even got a shirt on.
Today, yes. um, so, people that don't know, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. I'm Danny Blaze from a small town in Michigan called Carlin, Michigan. It's just outside the Traverse City area. That's more of a well-known area in Michigan. So when people ask me where I'm from, I usually say Traverse City. That way they kind of get an idea of where I'm from. But it was one of those, blinking lights, have to drive 15 minutes just to get to the nearest gas station kind of thing. Nice and country, quiet. I miss it a lot. I despise the city, so it's always tough to go back and then have to come back. I kind of want to just stay there, if you know what I mean. But yeah, that's my where I'm from and everything. You want me to go into like where my love for wrestling started? You want me to go into that next?
That was actually going to be my first question. Why
Okay,
wrestling?
I beat you to it.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, I was 4 years old. I went to my first event. I actually came across the pictures of that not too long ago, which I'm glad I still have them. I went to my first event in Cadillac, Michigan. It's more the middle northern part of the state of Michigan, and the main event was Macho Man Randy Savage versus Ric Flair, and I became the biggest Randy Savage fan known to man. And then I was sold. He had a very vibrant green attire, as many of his attires were very vibrant. I think that's what caught my eye. But he was just the coolest thing I've ever seen. And then I was hooked after that. So that's the night I became a professional wrestling fan.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
A better person to see to make you want to be a fan than Macho Man. I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, he's awesome. Something else I was going to ask you. I don't think we talked about what company do you wrestle for now, or you just wrestle for multiple?
Yeah, I'm just kind of all over the place. Yeah, I've been everywhere from Colorado to Florida, Ohio. I've been all around the U.S. so far. So I'm just still out there. Trying to get the reps in, get my feet wet and everything. Not signed anywhere yet. Obviously that's the long-term goal, but yeah, I'm just getting out there, making the towns, kind of like back in the territory days. So yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. You'll get signed. I know we were watching your matches and we were like, man, you can tell he was trained by, because they were really, really good.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that.
So let's see. What was your favorite wrestling match then and now?
Oh God. Favorite the one that if this is long-winded, I'm sorry, but
no, you're fine.
For me, it's you could have one of the best matches there was, but if it was kind of just a match, it's one thing, but if you got a story behind it that gets me invested, that's what I care about. Right? So for me, what it goes back to, it's usually always a toss-up. It's either the 6-man Hell in the Cell match at Armageddon 2000 between Kurt, Rock, Taker, Triple H, Rikishi, Stone Cold. Just the story behind that, the way Mick, was involved, and he'll put his job on the line and everything like that. And obviously the match spoke for itself, but for the one that I always go back to is Triple H Cactus Jack Street Fight Royal Rumble 2000. one of my favorite moments of that is the SmackDown, the two SmackDowns before the pay-per-view, when Mick comes out on the stage and, he's got the bloody shirt on and everything. And he tells Triple H that, he doesn't feel like, he's ready to fight, Triple H at the Royal Rumble. But what he does feel is that the fans deserve a substitute. And I think the guy, and his name is Cactus Jack, right? And he takes the mask off. And then, but the thing that really makes that is when they pan back to Triple H and he's got like that, oh my God look on his face, right? That's what gets me invested. That's what gets me to the point like, oh man, I really want to, watch this match. You know what I mean? And, two pros like that, and they go on and have one of the best street fights ever in professional wrestling history. So for me, that's probably the one: Triple H, Cactus Jack, Royal Rumble 2000 street fight.
That's a good one. And
Yeah.
Annie with Mick Foley in it.
Oh, Mick's not only one of the nicest guys to ever grace the wrestling business, but that mind, right? Like knowing what the crowd wants and him being willing to put, look at Hell in the Cell, right? Taker almost killed him, right? But he got the pop, as he says. So he's a legend, is putting it lightly. So
yeah, he literally put his life on the line.
He certainly did, and he's paying for it now. It's tough to see him. A lot of the times he's, obviously he's not walking, the best and everything like that. But I tell you what, he's got the respect. And if he doesn't have the respect to anybody that, whether it's a fan or somebody in the business, you must not, know you couldn't, touch your rear end with both hands as far as I'm concerned. So he deserves all the praise in the world.
Yes, he does. He really does. What is your favorite part about your career choice? About being
God. That probably stems back to, I'll kind of do a deep dive again of where I started from. I getting that experience, seeing Randy Savage and Ric Flair, and just being awe-inspired. And, I think that was my first, thing that I was just gravitated to, minus, my childhood years. I was a big Power Ranger fan, but, wrestling was my first thing that I just, this is cool, So, unfortunately, tragedy struck for me at a really young age. My dad tragically passed away when I was 9, going on 10 years old.
I'm sorry.
And that really turned my life upside down. I'm not gonna be real with you guys as I'm real with anybody else. It's just, so I kind of needed that crutch to, not think, what I mean, about, get my head out of the woods and everything like that. So that's what wrestling was for me. And I remember that year, it was 1999, and the debut of SmackDown on UPN was actually on my birthday that year. We had a big wrestling theme party. I had a wrestling ring for a cake kind of thing, and that was like one of the only things that made. It was still fresh. It was only like a couple weeks since my dad passed away, and wrestling's just been that thing. Like even to this day, it's been 20 plus years since he's passed away, and the thing that I go to when I start thinking too much and everything like that is wrestling. So so to answer your question, I think it's just I'm literally chasing a dream, and I think a lot of people talk about doing it, but whether it's, intimidation of, not knowing, what's going to happen and, everything like that, they don't go for it. I've just never been that kind of person. I don't like what ifs. I'd much rather try something and then, kind of see the, writing on the wall once I get there. And, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out, but at least I can say I took the chance, you know? So, I just, you know, it was one of those things, yeah, you know, I'm 34 years old, and yeah, obviously I would have liked to have started earlier. I mean, that's, you know, you want longevity in wrestling, and yeah, I know I'm not going to be able to, you know, have the mileage that some of these guys, you know, that started at 18, 19, that ideally that's when I would have wanted to started. But, you know, life happened, and, um, uh, I'm just glad that I finally just said, you know, I'm not getting any older, and, you know, this might be, you know, the last chance that I have to really pursue this. So, and unfortunately, it took my grandpa passing away, and then my a couple weeks after that having a heart attack for me to see, like, oh, you know, you know, uh, tomorrow's not promised, and if I'm gonna do this, I need to do it now. So that night, I went on Black and Brave's website, inquired. They got back to me within a couple days. They wanted to see a couple shots of my body, like, you know, how in shape I was, and the rest is history, as they say. I got a acceptance letter of, you know, I'm going to be starting at this time with this class, and here we are. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
It's great that you see, and that's a great thing too. You know, he overcame obstacles to get to where he wants to be. It's like Destiny. She just started training.
Beautiful.
You know, and it's been hard, but she's pushing. You know,
Yeah,
she's
you
like,
know, and that's the thing. I mean, if I can give you any advice, it's just keep going. You know, because I remember our first, you know, our first night, our conditioning test. I mean, I was a, you know, all conference swimmer in high school. I was very, very active. Like I know what it, you know, that, you know, hard enduring practices, workouts, stuff like that. But that was honestly the hardest thing I've ever done. And we had people quit, but you know, that day, I can't remember off the top of my head how many did, but I just, it's just not in me to quit. And I just, you know, just keep going. You know, some days are going to be, you know, worse than others, you know, and I'm a perfectionist. So, you know, if I don't do a move right, you know, the first time, you know, I get on myself. But thankfully I had, you know, world-class trainers that are there to tell me that, you know, Dan, you're learning, you know, that's what you're doing it for, you know, to get better at it. We don't ever expect anybody to get, you know, a move on the first time. If you do, great. You know, that's something that you could take with you, you know, put that in your arsenal. You know, you got to really get feel for the move. But then there's those moves that you want to do, right? And, you know, you know, you might screw up, but you know, you just keep going because you want to add that into your move set, you know? So it I you know, getting into it and seeing what it, you know, truly takes, you know, I praise anybody, you know, especially if you have quality training, because, you know, that's another thing too. You know, there's a lot of people out there that are, you know, not, I mean, I don't mean to, you know, bash anything, but I mean, you know, there's people out there that, you know, could care less about, you know, really teaching people, you know, what it takes. You know, there's not many quality, you know, wrestling schools out there. So, you know, you got to do your homework and that. But, you know, hearing who you're training through, I mean, obviously, you know, you're training with, you know, somebody quality. So, you know, that's good that you did your homework in that regard, and just keep pushing. That's all I can say.
thank you. Do you have any questions for him? She's still working on her promos. That's her biggest weakness right now.
Okay.
Her talking.
Yep.
That's it. But she's working. She's getting there. what was it like being trained by Seth?
What's that?
I said, what was it like being trained by Seth?
Oh, like I said, when I was searching, I mean, there was a handful of schools that I was considering going to, but I've been watching, you know, Seth since his Ring of Honor days when he was Tyler Black and everything like that, and obviously his what he's done in WWE. I mean, it's Hall of Fame level. I don't
Yes.
call me biased because he trained me. No, it's just he's so smooth and he's just one of the best ever laced up a pair of boots. I mean, oh, you're kissing his butt because you were trained by him. No, it has nothing to do with that. I mean, I want high quality training, right? And this is something I love, so I want to be trained by somebody that knows what they're doing. So, if I have a chance to be trained by Seth Rollins, I mean, obviously I'm going to take that opportunity. So, I mean, he was. I even think back on it to this day, and sometimes I don't even have the words. It was I guess it was everything that I expected, and then some. Is like the closest that I can put to it. I mean, he was there. He was in the ring. He was outside the ring. He was, is just we would watch film, and he would say, guys, watch this, and watch that, and everything like that. We had promo days, and it just the things that you need to know. And then obviously I didn't have the greatest of days all the time, and yeah, it sucked because I want to do good, but it's almost like I want to do good in front of him, obviously, and because but it was special. It was truly special. It was pretty surreal. I remember the day going in to the academy for the conditioning test and everything. Our first day, and just like, oh man, this is it. I'm here, and now it's time to show why I belong here, kind of thing, and it was a very, very special time. I'm very grateful for my time at Black and Brave.
Awesome. I mean, and I agree with you, and he didn't train me, but I agree. Definitely Hall of Famer. He needs to be, because he's like the total package.
Yep.
He's got everything.
Yep.
For him. I mean,
and it's like I'm a big baseball guy, right? And you always hear about that 5-tool player, right? The guy, the player that's got everything. Well, Rollins has got everything. So, yep.
That's awesome. So you mentioned to me that you're part of a faction also.
Yep.
You want to talk a little bit about them?
Yeah, I'm a part of a faction. We're known as Vanquish. It's me, the Big Boss Anika, and the Dark Angel Danny Jax, and we're through. I wrestle for a promotion in Michigan called the Missile Dropkick Wrestling Association, and that's where we formed, I guess you could say. And we made our presence known on our first night. I'll just put it that way. My opponent suffered quite the beatdown at the hands of us, and we let everybody know that we're not just flashes in the pan, that we got, we all have something to prove. And you put a bunch of hungry lions together, you're gonna get something special. So yeah, we're cooking. We actually have a show next Sunday for the Missile Dropkick Wrestling Association, and Vanquish will be there too. So we're here to stay, and I'm really looking forward to what we're going to be doing in the near future. I can put it that way.
Is there somewhere that people can go to watch matches? Like the
Yeah,
yeah.
I usually put whether it's on my Facebook or my Instagram. Like I have plenty of YouTube links of my matches and stuff like that, and people that are looking to uh, another way I do it is I have links from Google Drive as well. I mean, I have a bunch of different ways that I like to get my I have my matches, my promos, little teaser videos and stuff like that. So I got plenty of ways to get Danny Blaze's name out there.
You'll have to share them. We'll share them with people. If you just let us know, we'll help
Yeah,
get
for
it
sure.
out there too.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate that.
What was it? You answered a lot of these. What career, before we get into some more funner stuff, what career would you have chosen if you didn't do wrestling?
Oh boy. It's funny. I've actually got asked that in the locker room a bunch of times, and God, it's tough to answer because I've been a fan of wrestling for so long that it's almost like that's what I've always wanted to do. So I know back in 2015, I started work in in an ice arena. So and then I worked up to ultimately driving the Zamboni and stuff like that and everything. So probably that. But I mean, honestly, wrestling's always been the thing. Like like what Ed said when he went to WrestleMania 6 and he saw Hulk Hogan versus the Ultimate Warrior and he said, I'm doing this one day. It's exactly how Danny Blaze felt. So I hope that somewhat answers your question.
It does. It does. Because I mean, it shows wrestling is really your heart. You're not just doing it for for somebody to know who you are. That's your heart.
Yeah, it truly is. I tell people all the time that through all this tragedy that I've dealt with and everything, and I don't ever expect anybody to feel sorry for me or anything like that. It's life. It happens, and life just happens differently for people. You know what I mean? So I play the hand that I was dealt, and wrestling is pretty much the only thing that keeps me sane in life, other than when I go on for my long walks / jogs and I put my headphones on and I kind of drift away in music. Wrestling is the thing that keeps me from not going certifiably insane. So yeah.
Yeah, we have that in common. I'm not a wrestler, but I have been a wrestling fan since I was probably 5 years old. My dad and my grandpa got me watching it, and it was all history from there. I've never been able to be away from it. I've always wanted to either be watching it or involved somehow.
Yep. Likewise.
And it's always been my escape too.
Yep.
It's like everything gets better, everything goes away for that
it does.
amount of time that you're there.
Yep. I'll be having the worst day, and I'll just go on YouTube or something and watch Macho Man promo, right? 30, 45-second promo. And it's like everything, blood pressure goes down, I'm back to, feeling somewhat normal again. So I'm very grateful that because, a lot of people don't even know what their, escape is, and I'm grateful that I know what mine is. So I highly encourage people, to truly get out there and see what, makes you comfortable and what makes you want to keep coming back to something. And because I'm telling you, I'm a big advocate of, uh, supporter of, mental health, mental awareness and everything. And the more positivity you have in your life, the better. So anybody out there who doesn't know what their escape is, I highly encourage you to, find what that escape is.
Yeah, and if you haven't tried wrestling, I recommend it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I tell people are like, why do you
the more the merrier. I mean, I might, introduce you to, some NWA stuff, some Mid-South, some World Class, some old school stuff, and kind of work you into it. But it's all it's good for the soul. That's what I put.
Yes, it is. Somebody was asking me the other day, why are you so into wrestling? And I said, well, think about it. I said, you get your drama.
Yep.
I said, you get your action.
Yep.
Sometimes you even get the scary parts of it.
Yep.
It's a little bit of everything.
It sure is.
What you're looking for, there's something there.
Yep.
So,
Yep. It's like that good piece of bait that fish just can't get away from. I just got to keep grabbing the hook. It just. Yeah.
Yeah. Once you're hooked, you're hooked.
Absolutely.
Let's see. What's the greatest advice you've ever been given as a wrestler?
The greatest advice. Oh boy, that's a. Oh boy. One thing that really sticks is our trainers really emphasized slow, not fast. Mm-hmm. And people might not really understand what that means, so I'll try and explain it the best that I can. But I know for me, when I first started and everything, I was going 100 miles an hour. Like, I wouldn't let anything milk. I wouldn't let anything do this and do that. I mean, I was just, doing the moves pretty much, right? And you can't do that. You're out there, yes, you're doing moves, but you're also telling a story in the same breath, right? So the more you tell that story and the more that it makes sense, the more people are going to be into the match, right? So if you slow down and really let, this take its place and that take its place and, all that kind of stuff, it's going to make sense in the long run instead of going 1,000,000 miles an hour and 30, 45 seconds later, you're sucking wind, you're blown up, and, you could barely finish the match at that point. So, slow, not fast is something that it took me a minute to really understand it. And then, obviously getting in the ring and, doing my, thing in front of crowds and everything like that, you learn out there, obviously. And, I always go back to that. Like when I, feel myself starting to get a little too giddy, I just say to myself, Danny, it's okay. You don't got to go 1,000,000 miles an hour. It's gonna, it's all gonna make sense in the long run. So I'd probably say that's some of the best advice that I've been given.
That's good advice.
Yeah.
That's really good advice. Because like anything, it's always better when you take your time.
Yep.
It's anything instead of just rushing through anything. That's
yep.
That. You showed me some of your gear.
I did.
Taking. You want to talk about that, about your inspiration for that?
Yeah, well, I can thank Macho Man again for that, right? I mean, and anybody who knows anything about Macho Man, he was very vibrant, very flamboyant, and had a plethora of different gear sets. And I didn't know I was going to get that crazy with it, but I think when I had my first pair of custom sunglasses done and just seeing how cool they looked and having Macho Man be the inspiration for that and be like, man, I can really be creative with this, And I remember a veteran told me that not everybody gets a chance to talk on the microphone. So sometimes you need to tell your story in different ways, right? So if I'm in the ring, you're looking at me, right? Well, I hope you're looking at me because that's where the action's at, right? So if I have gear on that has different stuff on it, and right, people are going to wonder. I wonder what that's different. I wonder what that means, right? Okay, intermission, end of the show happens. They come up, to my merchandise table. They find me somewhere else. They ask me about that, right? So then I'm going to be able to tell them a little bit of my story. And, it's funny how something as simple as a gear set could make that happen, so it's just another way to tell my story. So, I just, all my gear has, different meaning behind it. I mean, I have a gear set dedicated to my dad. It's one of my personal favorites. All my gear sets have, custom sunglasses to them. I'm a big Marvel fan, comics, and I have a Moon Knight gear set. That's another personal favorite of mine. I just I like being able to to express myself, and I get to do it in a crazy way. I get to do it in these gear sets, these attires, and really get crazy with them, and get eyes on me and everything like that. So yeah, I mean, Macho Man's my inspiration for that, and shout out to my two guys that make my gear for me. John Cody Jenkins, JCJ Gear. Check him out on Instagram. And Craven Knight, Breaking Creative on Instagram. Check him out as well. They've been great. I started off with Craven, and then I got to know JCJ a little bit too, and found out that he was a gear maker, and I started going through him too. So those are my two guys when it comes to gear. And Chris, Creation by Designs on Instagram, makes my custom sunglasses. So he's another big part of what I'm trying to present out there. So those guys are a big part of what Danny Blaze does.
We'll have to make sure you give us all the correct spelling and stuff, and we'll make sure we post it.
Absolutely. I'd appreciate it. They deserve it. I mean, they both do stuff for AEW, WWE. So, I mean, they're not just doing gear for indies, they're doing gear that's, seen on, national television. So they know what they're doing. So
That's awesome.
Yep.
I know just the preview that you showed me, I was like, man, that's really, I mean, it looks really good. Yeah. We were talking about your Moon Knight gear.
Yeah.
As soon as Destiny's huge Marvel fan.
Yeah.
She saw it, she was like, oh, is that Moon Knight? Oh my God. She was so excited.
Yeah, I was talking with JCJ about that. I had been wanting to do it for the longest time, and I'm like, all right, I think I'm ready to pull the trigger. I'm like, we got to go all out. We got to, cape, everything. So we did it. I got the cape, the vest, the gauntlets, and the tights, knee pads, kick pads. I got custom glasses. I got the mask and everything like that. So I wanted to make sure it was, because that's the thing with me is I'm big on authenticity. So everything like that I want portrayed. I want it to be as authentic and lifelike as humanly possible. So another one, I know I showed you my custom Dusty Rose gear. That was another thing too. Dusty's a icon. So I wanted that to be as authentic as humanly possible, and I got everything down to the red knee pad. I mean, not knee pad. Sorry, the red elbow pad. So I just I love it, and like I said, it's just another way I can be creative and have everything be okay for a while. Right when I'm at an event, I get geared up and everything like that, and everything's okay when I'm in my element. So
Yeah, that's awesome. Outside of, I mean, I know since you're in a faction,
yep.
who would be your favorite faction?
Ooh boy. Well, the goat of factions is the Horsemen, hands down. Nobody's touching the Horsemen. I don't, Flair and Tully and Ole and Arn and JJ Dillon is the manager, and there's been some other guys that have went in. Luger was in there for a while and everything, and I it would probably be the Horsemen, of all time. But if you're asking me, like for the because the Horseman was obviously before my time. Yeah. But doing tape study and work, I mean, you can obviously see why those guys are the best at what they did. So but probably the one that I got to see with my own eyes is probably Evolution. I'm a huge Randy Orton fan, and he kind of got his feet wet. He had Triple H and Flair, and obviously Batista too. But the Evolution was definitely a favorite of mine to watch.
That's a good one. Ric Flair is one of my favorites. So anything he's been involved in.
Yeah.
Yeah. And my favorite faction, I was going to say, was the Four Horsemen. But then my second was the Freebirds.
Oh God,
Michael Hayes.
Heel, true heels, right? I remember people talking about how the Freebirds had so much hatred, heat, right? That they would go to the police station and get the police to take them to the building, and the fans would cut the tires on the police car because they knew that the Freebirds got out of that police car.
Yeah.
That's when you know you got a little bit of hatred. Yeah. The fans are cutting the police cars' tires. That should, the territory days as a different breed, and that's what I love tape studying the heels back in the day. Lawler and Memphis, and it was. It's a different time back then for sure, but and obviously things change when the territories went away and everything. But I'm just glad wrestling's still around and everything. But it's good to know that those days were around. You know what I mean? You can go back to them and watch the footage and everything, and just see how it's done.
Yeah, when you sit and think about the things that they got away with then and all the way through like the Attitude Era.
Yep.
And you sit and watch it and you're like, woo, they wouldn't be able to get away with that now.
Oh no. Oh no. Yeah, I mean, look at the Attitude Era. You had pseudo vampires, right? The Brood, Gangrel, Edge, and Christian. You had an adult film star in Val Venus, right? You had a roll of fatty for this pimp daddy and the Godfather, right? So as great stuff. Great stuff.
Yeah, and then DX.
Oh, yep.
DX, NWO. And
yep.
Them there, yeah. It was good times though. It was.
Yep.
What's the most famous wrestler you've ever met, other than Seth?
Okay. Other than Seth, probably Edge. I met Edge at Autorama. I know they had Autoramas around the country, but the one specifically in Michigan, I went one year with my cousin, and we met Edge, and that was got to chat with, which I was surprised. Usually, it's kind of get the autograph, take the picture, and move along, guys. But he was very very welcoming in the sense he wanted to chat a little bit, which is really cool. And did the personalized autographs and everything, and like that. So Edge is probably the most famous one.
I like Edge. I like Edge.
What about you? Who's the most famous one you've met?
Oh my goodness. Let's see.
I'm putting you on the spot.
You are. Well, I've got to meet Seth. So didn't really get to talk to him though, but I did get to meet him.
Okay.
Man. It's gotta be a tie. There's Ricky Morton from Rock and Roll Express, Bobby Blaze, he's got my heart, and Tommy Walker Rich.
Yep.
So, and I met Brian Pillman Jr. too. He's so awesome.
Okay.
Shane Douglas. There.
The franchise.
Hey, yep.
Yep. Yep. No, and it just touch on it. Ricky Morton, arguably the greatest selling babyface of all time. I'm just gonna put that out there.
He is. Yeah.
So yeah, and Rock and Roll Express need no introduction. They're in Hall of Fames and places that they didn't even work at. So it's just a testament to their legacy.
Yeah, he's awesome, and we just got to meet him this past week. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was him. And
he just seems like it. I've never met him, unfortunately, but he just seems like a genuine dude. He just gives that vibe. Like come and talk to me, please. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's not like one of those guys like you look at their face and it's like, oh, I'm not going near that guy. Very welcoming and everything. Is that how he is?
Yeah, he was just like, hey guys, how are you? Come on, come over and talk to me. I mean,
that's awesome.
He's great. He's great.
Yeah.
And I think that was one of the things that always drew me to him too. Him and Robert Gibson, they just seemed like they were just so real.
Yep.
Like it wasn't an act for them. That's just who they were.
Yep.
Yeah, I love them so much. Hey, somebody said that you sell like him.
Yeah, I've been told that I have very Ricky Morton like selling ability. So that was a pretty high compliment. So I definitely took that one to heart.
Yeah, that's a huge compliment.
Yeah, it is. I'm like, shit. Are you just are you just saying that to say it kind of thing here? Because I mean, I know with that. I mean, that's like that's like somebody saying that you have the promo ability of a Dusty Rhodes or a Ric Flair or a Roddy Piper or something. You know what I mean? So I understand what that means. So for somebody to say something like that is pretty special to me.
Okay. I can see where they get it just from the little bit that we've got to see from you.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I also can see where you were trained by Seth because, I mean, I'm not just trying to, give you the big head or anything, blow things
I already
up.
got that. You don't got to worry.
But I could see it, in your fluidity and stuff. I mean,
Yeah,
really,
another thing too is another thing too is I really been trying to, like, like you said, my fluidity, because that was one thing that I really struggled with. Again, I had no problem admitting things, and I was very jittery in there, very, and Seth and our other trainers, Merrick and Matt, and we would have past graduates that would be there to help us out too, and I get upset because I know that I can do it, right, but it was more in my head, right? Like, stop thinking so much, just let the chips fall where they fall, kind of thing, So it's one thing I, really, you could be 20, 30 years into this, and there's still stuff that, you can clean up, work on, stay fresh, with anything, right? Not just in this, line of work, So but that's one thing that I really am glad that I really zeroed in on and got better at, my footwork and, stuff like that. And yeah, there's sometimes where I get, a little herky jerky again, but, it's another thing like, Dan, there's film out there now that shows that you can do it, so, let's do it. You know what I mean? So I'm glad that it shows, and that people like yourself and everybody else that's seen footage of me. I hope they can see it too.
You can definitely see it, or at least we can see it. So I know if we can, other people are seeing it.
Yeah.
And while we're talking about your fluidity, what is your favorite move?
What, again, like, being biased for, being a Macho Man fan, I love that elbow drop off the top rope. And, like, seeing him do it, it was like poetry in motion, just gliding through and then bam, but there's so many great moves. Like Bret Hart's Russian leg sweep and the backbreaker into the, second rope elbow drop that he does, just stuff like that, setup moves. But, like my favorite finisher of all time is the stunner. I just, the Stone Cold Stunner is just, you could throw the tombstone up there too from Taker. But then there's the I don't even know how to put it. You could say it's a, transition move, or, just one of the basic moves, right? That were used back in the day as finishers, right? Like Rocky Johnson used the drop kick. Lawler used the pile driver, right? Somebody like Dino Bravo, he used, the side slam. That was his finishing maneuver. Rick Martel used the Boston Crab, right? So just seeing that, like that's what, and I'm always like one of my moves that I really put into my set is when Kurt Hennig, Mr. Perfect, used to do the snapmare, and then he would step back and then he would, flip over the opponent and, grab the head on the way down. I love that move. And, he did it, better than anybody. Another, we were talking about, fluidity and everything like that. One of the best to ever do it right there is Mr. Perfect, Kurt Hennig.
Yeah. Love him. He was another one from back in the era. She's just now really getting into people from the past and really studying,
Yep.
what used to be versus what's now,
Yep.
and just some of the legends. It's pretty amazing, isn't it? To watch
Yep.
some of the stuff. But
It's important because the guys that you're watching now, right? That's who they watched, right? So yeah, it's important, and that's what I do. I mean, obviously, I stay up to date on modern stuff and everything, but like I said, a lot of the times my studying, because I'm a very old school, I'm not a big aerial person. I'll get up on the top rope and do a little something every now and then, but I'm very old school, methodical and stuff. So I'm always watching that old school stuff. Georgia, Memphis, and just watching the heels and the baby faces do their thing and see like, oh man, I can do that. That'll be good. Coming out of this kind of thing. So it's always but then when you find something that works and it gets the reaction, hang on to it.
take the advice. I know we talked about this, but before we go, are you in a hurry?
Nope, not at all.
Okay. Your top 5 favorite all time.
Top 5 favorite of all time. I'll do you one better too. I'll give you my top 5 of all time, and then I will give you my favorite match that they competed in. How's that sound?
Nice.
Does it sound good?
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, number 1 is Macho Man again. Just he was the person that made me fall in love with this stuff. And my favorite Randy Savage match is him versus Ric Flair at WrestleMania 8. I know that there's always the talk about that it was supposed to be Flair versus Hogan, but obviously that didn't happen. So things had to get changed, and it ended up being Flair versus Macho. And the little story that they told too, again, stories, right? Getting people involved about how he would, he's going to show the world that the picture of Elizabeth and everything, and it's going to be on the jumbotron for all to see, and Savage just making his entrance and just getting into the ring and charging Flair and just being like, okay, I got you, I'm ready to go, kind of thing, and just again telling that story. And then they tore the house down in Indiana that night. So that's my favorite Macho Man match. So there's number 1. So number 2 would be the excellence of execution, Bret the Hitman Hart. There's so many good Bret matches, obviously, but the match that stands out to me is the greatest opening WrestleMania match in history, him versus his brother Owen at WrestleMania 10. I mean, again, the story, right? It started at Royal Rumble 94 when, they lost to the Quebecers and Owen famously kicked Bret's leg out of his leg, right? So, and then just that, one of my favorite things in that match, and it was somewhat of a move, but it was more so telling the story, right? Owen had Bret down. He kind of gives him a little, kick to his head, right? And Bret kind of looks at him and he points at him like, don't you dare do that. Yeah. Like the brother telling the brother, don't you dare do that. That, and that, 2 technicians and, the way Owen won with, being on Bret's shoulders and dropping down. And it was just fantastic match. And then Bret going on to reign supreme at the end of the night, and Owen standing at the end of the, entranceway, like, oh, do I go in the ring? Do I not go in the ring? This is my brother. And so that was good stuff right there.
That's a story.
So
yes.
That's number 2. And then number 3 is the great one, the most electrifying man in all of entertainment, The Rock. So it was, it was one of those things where you rock or where you stone cold. I love Stone Cold, don't get me wrong. Arguably the biggest box office draw in professional wrestling history, but I was definitely more of a Rock fan. And I think it was more a swag, the slacks and the $500 silk shirts and stuff like that, and the people's eyebrow and just another guy that could talk in the mic. We were talking, a minute ago, Flair, Dusty, and Piper. You can definitely throw Rock in there, when it comes to talking on the microphone. So, in my favorite Rock match, and I actually had the luxury of seeing this match live, was Vengeance 2002, the triple threat match for the Undisputed Championship between The Rock, The Undertaker, and Kurt Angle. One of the best triple threat matches of all time, in my personal opinion. And again, I got to see it live, but it was just like it was almost like you were watching two matches, just alternating. It was like, it was unbelievable in the atmosphere. The crowd was in it the entire time, and Rock, getting the 3 count and it becoming champion. That was another special moment. So that's my favorite match that involves The Rock. Number 4 is God rest his soul, Latino Heat, Eddie Guerrero. Man, Eddie was just so good, and the things he would do where he would cheat to win with the chair, and with the referee and everything like that. It just Eddie was one of a kind, put it that way, and that I remember getting the news about him passing away. Is that one was tough. It was and then when they did the tribute on Raw for him, and they had the lowrider in the corner, and everybody was out there paying their respects and everything, and that was a very very touchy moment. I definitely got choked up when that happened, as I'm sure a lot of people did.
Oh yeah.
Eddie touched a lot of people's hearts. But my favorite match with Eddie is him versus Brock at No Way Out 2004, when he won the WWE Championship for the first time. And I remember that night vividly. I was, as I did with a lot of pay-per-views, whether it was allowance money or something like that, I was watching a pay-per-view. I didn't care. I was just, that was my thing. So I'm watching the match, and I have my little, toy belt across my shoulder, of course. And when Brock got him up for the F5, right when the match was about to end, I remember I threw my belt down the hallway, like, no, Eddie's not going to win. Brock's going to win. God darn it, kind of thing, And I'm like, well, I guess I better go pick this belt up now that I threw it down the hallway. So as I'm walking down the hallway, I hear, what a counter, and then Michael Cole's, saying, come on, Eddie, and he's going up to the top. So I scramble back. I got the belt in my hand, and I got back just in time for him to hit the frog splash, and 1, 2, 3, and that crowd pop. And it was just, that was a cool freaking moment. And I actually have a gear set from that night too. So the gear that Eddie wore that night, I have a practically matching gear set from that night. So I another way I could tell my story, right? So, and last but not least, number 5 is John Cena. Yeah, another thing on Cena too. That 2002 Vengeance. He made his pay-per-view debut for WWE that night. He fought Chris Jericho that night. So that was another cool thing. I got to see John Cena's first ever pay-per-view match. So that was but no, Cena's just I was the guy in high school wearing John Cena wristbands and stuff like that. I'm a nerd. I don't care, right? But Cena's just hustle, loyalty, respect. He preaches it. He's a great human being. What he does with Make a Wish speaks for itself.
Yeah.
Nobody can touch him. He's granted more wishes than anybody, and continues to do it to this day. And another one, one of the best to ever do it. So that's my top five: Macho Man, Bret Hart, The Rock, Eddie Guerrero, John Cena.
Yeah. Eddie Guerrero too. I love him. He has a place in my heart. He always will.
Yep.
But he wasn't only just a fantastic wrestler. He was such a great actor too. I mean, he was with such emotion all the time. I mean, no matter what he was doing. And one of the big things that I remember was when he was in love with China.
Yep. Oh, his mamacita.
Yeah, and he was proposing to her and trying to make her fall in love with him.
I remember that storyline vividly, and then when the whole thing of when that video came out of Eddie cheating on China and everything like that, and I remember like, no, Eddie, you can't do that. It's like I was invested in that storyline. Yeah. So it was he was truly one of a kind. Like when he when the ref would get knocked down and bumped out and everything, and he would just pick his head up and smile like you guys know what's coming. But my one favorite one was the one, the back and forth he had with Kurt. He's not in my top five, but another one, one of the best ever, Kurt Angle. One guy that took to the business like a fish takes to water, and the rest is history. So
those are good ones. Those are really good ones. I think my favorite, I'm not going to say matches because I'd be here all night, but I think my favorite was always Ric Flair, Shawn Michaels, Seth Rollins, Tommy Rich, and Ricky Morton.
Nice.
Those are my favorite. I mean, now active wrestlers now, Seth Rollins is just he's my favorite. And
that's great. And I'm biased towards Seth, and
sorry.
You said did I hear you say Shawn Michaels?
Yes.
Okay. The reason I say that is I just realized that I forgot to give you my favorite John Cena match, and it was that was another one I got to witness. I was actually front row at WrestleMania 23, John Cena and Shawn Michaels.
That was a good one.
That's my favorite. I mean, they just, and Cena's entrance that night with the driving the Mustang through the streets of Detroit, and then he comes into Ford Field, and that was great. The two ring generals, and they put on a great main event.
They had to.
Oh,
I mean,
absolutely.
two literal showstoppers.
And unfortunately, that was one of the kind of lighter WrestleManias, I guess. I mean, you had Taker and Batista, and it was a great Money in the Bank ladder match too. But other than that, it was kind of like it still had a WrestleMania feel, but it's not like WrestleMania 20 or 17 or something like that. That was a good night. Like I said, I was sitting front row for that, and that was HBK and Cena definitely painted a hell of a picture that night.
Yeah, almost. I think my favorite, I will say, my favorite Shawn Michaels match was Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart. The night of, I mean, I remember Shawn Michaels saving his life.
The Iron Man match.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I remember when Shawn Michaels saved his life because, I mean, you could see Bret just getting ready to destroy his head, and Shawn rushed up and grabbed him and pulled him over. I was like, that made me just, I got all in my feels.
Yeah.
That just showed who he really was. I mean, I know he's a great person, but that really, for them to be such enemies,
So I'm sure you've been to some events of your own and everything like that, pay-per-views and stuff like that. So, with your own eyes, I just got done talking about, my top fives, favorite matches that, they were in. The match that you got to see with your own eyes that still resonates with you today, what match would that be?
This is a funny story. Tommy Rich and Ric Flair. Tommy Rich was my absolute favorite. He's who got me really wanting to watch wrestling when I was a kid.
Okay.
And we were in this, actually, it was like a community center.
Okay.
And they were there wrestling, and Harley Race was there, and I can't remember. I'm looking at you like you would know.
Yeah.
But I can't remember who else was there. But,
she should know. She should know.
Yeah, right. Just telepathy. But Ric Flair had whooped Tommy Rich's back with a belt. I mean, he was bloody, and he was going around grabbing corn dog sticks and was like trying to stab him with them and stuff. I jumped up out of my seat and I ran around that whole little civic center place and was trying to find all the corn dog sticks I could, picking them up and throwing them away because he wasn't going to hurt my Tommy Rich anymore.
That's awesome. Because we go back to the territory days, and we were talking about how people were heat magnets or stuff like that. That's why the heels coming to the ring a lot of the times, if they didn't have police forming a circle around them, they had to really watch themselves. People would stab them.
Mm-hmm.
That's how the heels spit on them. And I know Jim Cornette would talk about how in some towns they would put because the security was so good and they couldn't fully get to you, that they would put Drano in squirt guns and squirt the heels with Drano. It's like and like they had to have locking gas tank lids because they would put stuff in their gas tanks, and they would shoot super glue into their locks on their car with syringes, and just that I mean that's the stuff like damn, that stuff actually happened.
Yeah. My grandpa was one of those that tried to go after one with a knife.
Yeah.
Center down here. Yeah, my dad was like, "No, you can't go to jail," and he was like, "I hate that." He was wanting to go. Yeah, crazy times.
That's awesome. Well, it's you said Flair and Tommy Rich, and that was my first ever match was had Flair involved. It's funny how Flair just keeps coming up and coming up in wrestling. You know what I mean? But to mirror what you just answered, I'll answer my the match that I got to see with my own eyes. Like again, I loved being there for that triple threat match that involved Rock, Taker, and Kurt, and that John Cena and Shawn Michaels match. But my favorite match that I got to see live was TNA Bound for Glory 2006. AJ Styles and Christopher Daniels defended the tag team championships against LAX, which was Homicide and Hernandez at that time, with Conan as their manager, and the Six Sides of Steel. It was just one of the greatest things I've ever seen in my entire life. I'll put it that way. It's just, and you got the talent that was in that round. I mean, AJ Styles alone, right? I mean, AJ Styles is one of the best wrestlers of his generation. I'll go on record and say that. But just the stuff they were doing, and Hernandez being as big as a guy as he was, he did a dive off the top of the cage, and it was amazing. So that's the best match that I've ever got to witness with my own eyes.
It's so much better when you get to watch it live. Too.
You truly don't. I mean, you can watch it back on TV all you want, and really, and if you're getting excited at home, just imagine the electricity that there was live. You know what I mean? That's the way I look at it. Like, is a lot of these, man, I'm like, damn, I wish I was, there live just to feel that, energy. You know what I mean? So and that's another thing, stepping through those ropes and being able to say that, I get to, be in that squared circle and, wrestle and everything like that. It's truly surreal because, it goes back to, that it's, that electricity, that adrenaline, that you're there, you know what I mean? So I'm forever grateful. I always, wipe my feet as a sign of respect before I get in the ring, and, all that kind of stuff, all the stuff that you're supposed to do. And, pay homage to the guys that, whether I can do that in a gear set or, a move, pay homage to the guys that, made wrestling what it is today.
Yes, absolutely. And just like you said, the energy.
Yeah.
Just being there, just the energy when it's live is just so, you can't explain it.
No, it's tough to explain. It's one of those things you truly got to be there to feel it.
Yeah, it's comparable to listening to a CD and going to a concert.
Yep.
There's difference night and day.
Yep. Amen to that.
Mm-hmm. What about female wrestler? Who is your favorite female wrestler
of all time?
Yeah,
Trish Stratus.
Really?
Ugh. Yep. Oh boy. Yeah.
I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Oh.
And another we're on the topics of female wrestlers now, and my favorite manager of all time, and she's got a tie with Macho Man. God rest her soul. I know people think I'm probably going to say Miss Elizabeth. Miss Elizabeth was great, but Sherry Martel.
I knew you were going to say that.
Sherry, she was a true worker too, and when she made the transition to being a manager and everything like that, she was still taking those bumps and still cutting those promos and everything like that. And she's God, do you put her in? I mean, I know there's a bunch of managers over the year, but can you put Sherry in a top 5 managerial debate? I think you can.
She did it all.
Yeah. I mean, the goat's Bobby Heenan, right? Bobby Heenan is on a pedestal of his own. There's just no debate about that. Mm-hmm. Bobby Heenan is the greatest manager that the professional wrestling world has ever seen. Just people need to get that through their heads. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Like him or not.
Yep. Yep. But from there, then you could start, but number one is it's a landslide. Just I don't even want to have an argument. Well, you could no, you can't. Bobby Heenan is the greatest. So, but back to Sherry, like you said, she did it all, and she did it well, awesome. Just any word that comes up, thesaurus, whatever you want to, whatever word you want, but Sherry was she was legit. She was pretty damn special.
Yeah, she did it her way for sure.
Yeah, she sure did. She had her style, and it worked for her, and it just, she added that dimension, when she was with Macho Man, sensational Queen Sherry, and it was, so it was almost like they were meant to be with each other. Macho went heel, and he's getting this new manager and everything like that, and here comes Sherry. So I just, she was, she's very, I miss her, and I watch film of her as much as I possibly can. So you had that little regurgitating thing when I mentioned Trish. Who would be your favorite female wrestler?
And I loved the old Trish.
Okay.
I don't like her gimmick right now.
Okay.
That's fair. But she is a phenomenal wrestler. She really is.
Very much.
I liked from back in the day, my favorite was actually Wendy Richter.
Oh.
She was, couldn't touch her. I mean, she was so good.
Yeah.
And then there's Lita.
Rockin' Robin.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then Lita. And
oh God. Yeah. I mean, you got your leaders, right? You got your Beth Phoenixes, you got your Victorias, you got your Gail Kims, it just, there's, and it just, I mean, there's so many others, and now, I mean, your Becky Lynch's, again, I always biased. He was trained at Black and Brave, and Seth and Becky are together. No, Becky knows what's up, and I was living in Florida actually at the time when she was in NXT, so I got to see the NXT, Becky Lynch, and watch her grow and everything like that. So that was pretty cool. I got to see a lot of people grow down there. Your Chad Gables and your Finn Balor's, and Elias was just getting started down there at that time, and just seeing those guys come up and see their talent and see what they're doing now is pretty awesome.
Yeah, and even watching Charlotte Flair.
Yeah,
she is my absolute favorite right now.
Yeah,
but watching her then from then to now, it's just like blows my mind. Growth, because when you watch a wrestler grow, you don't think that they're going to get any better, and then they surprise you.
Absolutely.
To grow
and paying homage to her daddy with the figure eight. She just puts her own little spin on it, but having that flare effect on it, that's pretty cool. I like that.
Yeah, she's good, and she's tough too.
She is
tough. We were watching videos of her training one day, and one of her big training things was she was hanging and holding her stomach, as tight as she could. And Andrade, her husband, was just like hitting her in the stomach. And I was just like, man, she's literally taking it like a man. She's great. I love her. Love her. I know we might be running low on time. I don't know how much time you have.
Oh no, I'm.
You good?
Whenever you guys want to get rid of me, just say we need to get rid of me.
We're having a good time.
I set time aside, so I'm at your leisure.
And
I could talk wrestling until the day that I die. So you're talking a subject that I like, so it's easy to keep talking.
On that note, who would you like to have as a best friend?
Oh, geez. On
the spot, but
in the wrestling business?
Yes.
You are putting me on the spot. A best friend.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this would have to be somebody that I could obviously talk wrestling with and bounce ideas off of and everything and all that kind of stuff. That's a really tough question because I have a feeling that whatever answer I say, people are going to be like, oh, why didn't you say this person? You know what I mean? So, God, who would I want to have as a best friend? God, you know this? Okay, I think I'm confident enough with saying this. He's an old school guy and he gets it. And he is one of my favorites in the business currently. And even if I'm not supposed to like him, but the way he understands things, the way he talks on the mic, and the way he works, I think I'd have to say MJF.
Love MJF.
I know that's not a popular choice, but I've said it since, you know, his MLW days and everything like that. The guy just gets it. And he's an old school guy. It reminds me of the territory days, right? And like I've said, that's what I love to tape study. That's what I like to, you know, fall back on and everything like that. And that would be my answer. I think I could talk wrestling with him. I could bounce ideas off of him, and I think he would give it to me straight if, you know, I have a match and, you know, we're watching footage and everything like that, and I absolutely crap the bed, right? Because one of the things that I live by is I want to be associated with people that God, how do I word this? So if you associate yourself with people that tell you what you need to hear instead of what you want to hear, that's a big, big like separation. You know what I mean? And I want to be with the person that tells me what I need to hear. Mm-hmm. And if it's criticism and you're telling me that I did this and I did that, okay, great. That's what I need to work on. You know, obviously everybody wants to be told that, oh yeah, that was great. But if I get that answer, that almost tells me like, okay, one, you probably didn't even watch the match. And two, you probably could honestly care less because you gave me, you know, pretty much a one-word answer. You know what I mean? But if I can be friends with a guy that we're watching and, you know, we're like, okay, you see what you did here? Let's rewind that back and watch it, right? That's who I want to be friends with. So you know, I've never met MJF. You know, he could be different. He could be not, but that's just the vibe that I get with him, that I could talk wrestling with him and I could watch, you know, matches with him and tape study with him and he'll give it to me straight.
Yeah, he seems like he would be a great person.
Yeah.
To hang out with.
Yeah, and on the topic of, you know, friends and stuff like that, I've been grateful that I've come into contact with some pretty special people since I started wrestling, and it's tough. It's a tough line of work. You know, there's a lot of, you know, just like life in general. You know, there's a lot of, you know, shady people out there, and you know, you really got to do your homework kind of thing. But I'd like to give a shout out to a few people if I could, because I believe they deserve it to have their name recognized, because I've done my homework on them, and I've really got to know them and talk with them, and know that they're good people. You know what I mean? So if you don't mind, I want to give a shout out to a few people.
You go right ahead.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So there's a guy down in Florida. His name is Cameron Fox. He was actually trained by TJ and Natalia at the dungeon that they have down there. So, again, great training. But I met him on my first show that I wrestled down in Florida. Um, uh, Kingdom of Wrestling, that is actually ran by my gear maker, JCJ, John Cody Jenkins. So another shout out to him. But I met Cam, and we just got to talking, and I'm like, this guy gets it. He's had the quality training, and he's had he cares about getting better and everything like that. And it's been a good friendship that we've had since that first time. So Cam, keep grinding out there, and I'm grateful for you. Another one, this one actually goes way back. We actually went to high school together. Remy D, Remy, big capital D. He's out in Colorado. Rocky Mountain Pro. I actually had my first ever match was at Rocky Mountain Pro Wrestling. So crazy how that all tied in. And then I got when I was back out there a little while ago, Remy actually got to be on commentary, and I wrestled 2 matches that night, and Remy actually got to call 2 of my matches. So another thing that came full circle. But we were on the swim team together, and we just we were talking like both wrestling fans, and wouldn't it be crazy if we were both doing this one day. Fast forward a bunch of years, here we are. We're both doing our thing, and he's a rock star. He's like me. He's big into presentation and everything like that. He could put some of my gear sets to they make them look like a little league with some of the stuff that he thinks of. But no, Remy's great. We've kept in contact all these years. I was a freshman, he was a senior, kind of thing, and we just, wrestling brought us together, and we're still talking all these years later. So I think that's a pretty special bond. Another one, Augustus Draven. He was trained at Black and Brave as well, and there was a bunkhouse that we got to stay at if you inquired early enough when you were training. And he was one of the former graduates at the bunkhouse, and we just one night we just started watching old school. I think we started with old school WCW back in the day, and we just started watching, and he's one of the guys that I got really close with. He's another guy that gets it, and cares about getting better in all aspects and everything like that. So he's a good dude. Another thing, it's with me, you could have all the talent in the world, but I'm more worried about the human being that you are, so Cam and Remy and Augustus, and another one out in New York, Price Pure Gold is a real one. I got to wrestle with him in Ohio a little while back, and we stay in contact to this day. I ask him things, and for his opinion, and he gives it to me straight, and he asks me things, I give it to him straight. So it's nice that I got a nice handful of guys that I could really really reach out to and things like that, and know that I'm going to get a real and honest answer. So Cam, Remy, and Augustus and Price, you guys are real ones. I really want you to know that.
Awesome. It's important to have real friends.
No, for sure.
That are actually your friend, because
Yeah.
you can have 20 people saying that they're your friend, but then just have one or two that's really your friend.
Exactly.
Yeah. How about you, Destiny? What wrestler would you want to be your best friend?
Yeah.
Rhea Ripley. Rhea Ripley.
Rhea Ripley is a rock star, that's for sure.
Yeah. Definitely. Let's see, mine would be totally different. Female wrestler would be Bailey.
Okay.
I love her.
Okay.
And I'll have to say Seth Rollins for the male. I just feel like that he would be a good big brother. That makes
and again, going off of that, being able to train and see how he is, he's once you graduate Black and Brave your family, you can come back and train anytime you want, and he welcomes a lot of stuff, and he's always open to conversation, which I'm very grateful for. He doesn't have to do that, but he does, and that means a lot to me. And I never like to be a burden, be a bother or whatnot, but sometimes I really do, like sometimes I really feel like, man, I feel like if I'm a baby face, I really feel like I sold well and everything, or if I'm a heel, I feel like I did this and I did that right, and I had good interaction. So a lot of the times I feel like maybe I should see what he thinks about this. And again, like I said, like giving a one word answer or something like that, it's not like that. He goes into detail, like you need to work on this and work on that, and it's that means truly, and I should be saying it, I shouldn't be saying it, but now I'm gonna say it because it means a lot to me. You know what I mean? And again, he doesn't have to do that. He's got his own he's got his own life that he has to live. He's a husband, he's a dad, he's on the road and everything like that. But I think it's a testament, that he still, makes appearances and everything at his, at Black and Brave, and, make sure that he's there and he's involved and everything like that. And you're not going to find that, I've heard through the grapevine on a lot of these, schools that have, legit names that are supposed to be training there. They're not even there half the time. So I'm glad that I made the right decision in that aspect. So no disrespect or anything like that, but I think I would kind of want you to be there if I'm signing up for this person or that person. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, but no, it was one of the, it was probably the best, because I truly did that for me, and it is one of the best decisions I ever made, going into Black and Brave and really seeing what this was about, the grind, and do you really want this? Because that's what training is. Do you want it or do you not? Or are you gonna are you gonna quit, or are you gonna keep going? And yeah, there was plenty of days I was sore, and I had a little, fogginess going on and everything like that. But I just, go back to, you know, why I came there in the first place. It just, back when I, seen Randy Savage and Ric Flair and, growing up through the years and going to events and getting all these pay-per-views and seeing how, awe-inspiring it was. And it's like, yeah, I am going to do this one day. And again, yeah, I would have liked it. I would have liked to have started earlier on, but life happened. But, I guess you can say I'm taking more of the, DDP route. I'm getting started a little later on and whatnot, but I'm telling you, I'm riding these wheels until they fall off. So I just, I feel that I have a lot to prove. On the missile drop kick, the promotion back in Michigan that we have the show for next Sunday, their wrestler of the year. So I know that I have what it takes to be, a wrestler of the year, a champion, and everything like that. But one of my favorite quotes was from Macho Man, and it was along the lines of, a lot of people get hung up about how important it is to be a champion in wrestling and everything like that, and that's really not the most important thing. It's about, giving the fans lifelong memories and giving them things to, think back on and everything like that. And if you go home satisfied and happy with what I did my job. So,
That's awesome. That's so important. So important. So important. And like what you were saying reminds me so much of Bobby Blaze, that's training her.
Yeah.
He is one of the most, I'm talking about wrestlers, where I said wrestlers to be my best friend. I didn't mention Bobby because he is a friend. Bobby Blaze is like family. He's one of the most down to earth, caring people that you would ever want to meet. And he never misses. He never misses a show. He never misses a training session. And he's so good. He makes sure that he talks to you if you're okay, if there's anything bothering you. I mean, he pushes you, but he's an encourager. And he's an amazing person. Amazing person.
Yeah, and that's great too. And that's another thing. And I remember even going through school and being on sports teams and everything like that. And it was one of those things. When it came to coaches and everything, because a lot of the time, sometimes you're not going to necessarily see eye to eye with the coach, depending on this or that. But if you can garner that respect and everything like that, and because the coach isn't necessarily supposed to be liked, but if they have that respect factor, and you can really see that they are truly trying to get everything out of you because this is what you truly want to do. That's a person that I want to be involved with.
Yeah. It's important because if you don't have respect for the person training you, you're not going to listen to them.
No, not in the least bit. And then that's going to show through, right? And that's not going to, have you perform at the level that you might, be able to perform at because you're going to, be thinking about that all the time. So it's important to do your homework and really, see what you're getting yourself into.
Yeah.
And know that it is a grind. The thing that makes my skin crawl the most is when people say the dreaded professional wrestling is fake line. I'm telling you, and not being in it and, taking bumps and doing this and that. And I'm like, let me get you in the ring for, just a couple minutes, and I guarantee you by the time you get out of the ring, you won't be saying anything about professional wrestling is fake.
She agrees.
Yeah.
And me, just as a fan and a mom of a wrestler. I don't understand how people can say that, because even if everything was 100% scripted, if everything was scripted, you still cannot fake the falls. You know,
Amen to that.
you can't. You just.
I
you
mean,
can't
we
fake it
are
all. You're not landing on pillows.
we are taught how to, land correctly and everything, obviously, but you're still falling down. You're still making contact.
Mm-hmm.
And, yes, when people, show those pictures, what we're landing on is wood and a little piece of padding. That's what we're landing on.
Yeah. So, yeah, not everybody can get in there and endure that.
Yep.
And so.
It takes a different, and we talk about all the time, whether it's group chats or my guys, or when I'm with just in the locker room in general, we're talking just how this stuff is, we're a different breed. We're a different breed of human beings.
I agree with that.
Yeah. We're willing to fly, drive X amount of hours, for next to no money, and want to do it all over again.
I like to say you all are superheroes. You're real life superheroes, because you do it.
It's a hell of a compliment, that's for sure. But I wouldn't change anything for the world, like now being in it and getting out on the roads and everything like that, and traveling. Because when I made my
debut out in Colorado, I drove Michigan to Colorado all by myself, there and back. I've done Michigan to Florida. I don't I don't care. Whatever it takes. It's just one of those things. This is what I want to do, and I don't care where it's at. I mean, yeah, there's plenty of other states that I want to check off that I've got to wrestle in, and more people that I want to show what Danny Blaze has to offer, and I don't care what it takes. If I can't if I can't afford an airplane ticket, well, I guess I'm driving then. I don't. I've slept in my car. I've rest stops and everything. I know that gets I probably overly talked about and everything like that. When it comes to wrestling, people sleeping in their cars, but it's all part of the grind. It's all part of the will to prove to yourself that you are going to do everything you can to make it. And I've done the sleeping in my car at rest stops and showering at a Love's travel station and everything just to save money. So I just and I'll continue to do it. I don't it's this is as real as I can get. This isn't I'm going to do whatever it takes to get to where I know that I can be at.
That's not like it. Do you have anything?
Yeah, you've been awfully quiet over there, and knowing that you're training, it would be nice to get a couple questions from you.
I don't have anything right now. I'm just
Nothing.
no, because everything I think about, y'all end up bringing it up anyway. So I just
Well, that's good at least.
Yeah.
So I know you said you were going to have some rapid fire for me, kind of like what Stone Cold does on the Broken Skull sessions. Like, I mentioned this, and what's the first thing that comes to mind? Are you still planning on doing that?
Yeah, we'll go ahead and do that now.
Yeah. Okay. I'm as ready as I can be for it.
Okay. Stone Cold.
Icon.
Becky Lynch.
Oh God, Becky Lynch. Generational. They don't come around very often.
No, they don't. This is a little different. Juventud Guerrero.
Oh God, now you're speaking my language. All them guys back in the day. Juventud. My favorite cruiserweight of all time is Billy Kidman. Juventud he is just so smooth. Just I just smooth and crazy. Some of the moves that he did. It's like, God, how did he do that? You know, he was another one he doesn't get talked about enough back in those. You know, that WCW cruiserweight. You know, with your Eddies and your Dean Malenkos and your Rey Mysterio, Psychosis, Juventud, Billy Kidman. I mean, they were tearing the house down any time they got the chance. Chavo Guerrero too.
Yes.
You know, so but they were special, just like that. The TNA X Division originals, your Frankie Kazarians, your Chris Sabins, and Chris Sabin and Alex Shelley, those guys, Motor City Machine Guns, State of Michigan. You know, those guys are two of my favorites as well. But yeah, Juventud is smooth and crazy.
He was. I like him. Kevin Nash.
Kevin Nash is from Michigan, so hometown guy. Kevin Nash. Oh boy. You know, I know he did once, him and Hall and all them, they went to WCW and everything. I think, some of that gets lost and whatnot, especially with, you hear the stories about the creative, the behind the scenes and everything, and him having saying it and all that. But I think he deserves a little more, credit than what, he than he initially gets. He gets a bad rap, especially with, I know they were saying, with his WWF run, his Diesel and everything. He was the, a lot of people on record, he's the lowest drawing WWF champion, that they can remember. But he's big guy, knee problems, unfortunately, but I guess that comes with the territory, when you're talking about your big guys. And but I guess respect is what I would say for Kevin Nash. I have a lot of respect for Kevin Nash.
He was one of my favorites too. You can't list everybody when we're giving our favorites, but I always loved him. I was gonna say LA Knight.
Yeah. He's I've been a fan of his since his real early days, Eli Drake and everything like that. And I think the thing that drawed me to him is he could cut a promo. And me being an old school guy, and I know back in the Georgia days and everything like that, a lot of the shows back then, a majority of the show was the promos.
Yes.
Right? They're at the desk, with, Lance, Lance Russell, a plethora of other guys, depending on, what territory you were at. But it Tony Schiavone and everything like that. But
Gordon Soley.
yeah, absolutely, Gordon Soley. That's a big way to sell yourself, get yourself over, right? That's why you cut a promo. You get things over. You make people want to buy a ticket to come see that match / event, right? So, and obviously some guys do it better than others, but it's that's this thing that he's got going with the Miz. I love it just from the promo battles that they were having. Two of the guys that I don't think Miz gets enough credit for him hanging around for really when he had really no business being around. Coming from a reality show and fumbling it, lines, live on Raw and everything like that. When he was trying to put this and that over, but he grew and he's Grand Slam champion. It just he's one of the he's one of the best. So yeah, LA Knight, they LA Knight, the word for LA Knight would be, God, I think I could say he's probably, minus MJF, he's probably my favorite right now. Just seeing him grow. So I think my word for LA Knight right now would be favorite.
That's awesome. I really like him too. I like him. He's won me over because I liked him in his early days, but then when he was Max Dupree, I was like,
yeah.
Oh. Yeah. But then he has just won me over to where he's one of my favorites right now.
Yeah.
I love him.
No, the pops he's getting is it's they're up there, they're up there with I mean he engages the crowd, right? I mean, you got your crowd engagements, you got people humming along to Rollins' song, right? You got the whoa when Cody comes out. But then you got LA Knight, let me talk to you, and proving whose game it is with everybody saying, and all he has to do is point, and the crowd saying the rest. That's when you're over.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's I and just word that he signed a contract extension and everything like that. So I hope there's big things on the horizon for him.
Yeah, I like him. We're big people around here too. It's like everything we catch ourselves doing. So
I know it's a big locker room thing. Now I think I can speak for a lot of people. It's like whether it's a woo, Flair or whatnot, but is definitely that gets pushed around in the locker rooms quite often. So
and I have one more for you. Orange Cassidy.
Oh boy. I'm probably gonna ruffle some feathers with this one, but Orange Cassidy he just doesn't do much for me. I don't know what. I can't. I guess I can't really go, further than that. That he just doesn't. And I guess you're gonna, have your guys that they do stuff for you and they don't. But he just doesn't. He just doesn't do anything for me. I mean, I praise him. I mean, he's got, he's a he's a big merch mover and everything like that. And, he's got, he's got a pretty big fan base and everything like that, but he just doesn't do anything for Danny Blaze.
I just love him. I think his talent, I mean, the balance and the skill that he has.
Yeah.
How many people's going to put their hands in their pockets and fight?
Yeah. Oh, that in itself, I mean, that's very, very impressive. Because I know just doing a kick up in general is hard, and he's doing it with just that's the back strength he must have. You know what I mean? But it's very, very impressive. But he definitely doesn't float my boat like an MJF or LA Knight or Seth Rollins, Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns kind of thing. So yeah.
Roman Reigns. I love Roman Reigns. But how about your favorite ring announcer?
Oh boy, of all time?
Yes.
It's got to be Howard Finkel. I mean, he's the way he would put emphasis on, when somebody would win a championship, and he'd be like, and moo, he just, and, the different ways he would introduce some people, like, Razor Ramon, he would have the little, the tongue roll and everything when he would announce Razor Ramon and everything. But yeah, no, Howard Finkel is my favorite ring announcer. And to butt off of that, my favorite announce team would have to be Bobby the Brain Heenan and Gorilla Monsoon.
Yes, I agree with that 100%.
The chemistry of those two, and Monsoon with "Will you stop?" and Brain, I'll have you taken out of here in a minute, and just Brain, don't yell at me, and just they were magic. One of my favorites is the '92 Rumble when Flair ran from number 3, and Bobby's like trying to stay with it, but you obviously know that he's for Flair the entire time. And one of my favorite things was when Piper finally got in, and he helped Flair at some point, and he was like, oh, Roddy, it's a kilt, not a skirt, but then like later on, in the match, he goes after Flair, and he's like, well, you skirt wearing freak, it just him, just you just praise the guy, but now you're going to go back on him. That was Bobby Heenan for you. So, but yeah, Heenan and Monsoon, they were the best. You could go with, obviously King and JR or another one, but Bobby Heenan and Gorilla Monsoon are where it's at for me.
Oh, they were a comedy team all in itself. Yeah. They were so good. How about you? Who was your favorite ring announcer?
Samantha.
She's so good.
Samantha. Mm-hmm. Okay. Her and Ricochet.
Yeah. Mine's Lillian Garcia.
Okay. Lillian was great. Yeah. She was great.
Yeah. Oh, I loved her. She was my favorite. She wasn't just a ring announcer. She was so classy, and she was just put together, and
very much
respectful. I always enjoyed her. AEW or WWE?
Oh boy. I honestly, I think I honestly have to say both, because, and I know that,
you can't pick just one. And it's like, no, I can't, because again, like I said, when it comes to my studying, I'm studying everything, right? And I think, especially back in the territory days, there was a little something different in every territory, right? World class, Memphis, Mid-South, Florida, Georgia, everything had something different, right? Go up to the AWA with Vern and so for me, if there's different outlets that I can go to and I can pick something up and it's good, I'm going to watch it. Right? So that's why I say both, because there's something for everybody. There's something for me with what I want to do. So I'm going to watch both, because there is going to be something different, and what one might not have, the other one could have. Right? So I'm not going to risk missing that. So yes, I'm going to watch both of them.
Seth says, I watch more WWE, but I think that's just because it's more accessible.
Yeah.
On the days and the times and all that.
Yeah.
But we always go back and rewatch AEW.
For sure.
Because I think AEW is more hardcore than WWE. If that's what you're looking for. A lot of their talent is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
I like both too.
Yeah.
What about WWE and WCW?
Well, I was WWE for sure. I mean, I think I did everybody, and I think you're just straight up lying if you said back in the Monday Night War days that you weren't a channel flipper, right? Because I think everybody was, but then there was that loyalty. But no, I was WWE. Rock and Stone Cold and Taker and Mankind and Triple H and all that stuff. But yeah, I was definitely WWE for sure.
I guess where I started from Georgia Championship Wrestling, and then followed right into ICW, and then right into WCW.
Yeah.
So I was always a WCW girl, and then WWF came along, and I was like, now what do I do?
Yeah.
So yeah, I was one of those back and forth channel flippers. Like, which one do I watch?
Yeah.
I was always so into Kevin Nash and that whole thing. I loved it so much. But
yeah,
I loved NWO. That's why I was kind of relieved. I mean, I hated to see WCW get bought out, but I was kind of relieved when they merged.
Yeah.
Felt like it was better for both of them, combine all that talent and everything. But,
yeah.
Do you have anything? She still has nothing.
Yeah. This is definitely one longer than I expected, so I guess that's a good thing, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Because I looked at the time and I was like, it don't seem like it's been that long, does it?
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Do you have anything else? Do you want to mention your upcoming events again, or?
Yeah, we got September 17th, Sunday, Missile Dropkick Wrestling Association. Brings you by any means necessary. Danny Blaze will be there. It's all over my social media, so go ahead and follow me on my social media, and you can see ways to if you can't make the show in person, there's ways. We're MDWA is on the Roku channel. It's got its own network and everything.
Right.
So, that's a way. Yeah, that's a way to do it. That's the next show. So a week from Sunday, Danny Blaze will be there, and then hopefully more shows on the horizon. That's for sure.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us and everything.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad it won according to plan and better than expected. And I enjoyed talking with you guys, and maybe somewhere down the line we can catch up and do another one of these bad boys.
I would love to. I was getting ready to say the same thing.
Yeah,
We'll have to get you back again, and we'll talk some more wrestling.
that sounds great to me.
Guys, this has been Cindy, Destiny, Keep It Real with Danny Blaze. You all go check him out. We're going to put all of his socials in the comments so you all know where to find him. Check him out. Support local wrestling always. All the
Absolutely.
independent. You don't know what you're missing if you don't go. But thank you again, Danny, and we'll look
No,
forward to
thank
seeing
you guys. You were awesome. I appreciate it.
Thank you. So are you.
Take care.